Oh snap! Yeah, this is crazy. All right, cool. Yeah, I definitely did not think anybody would show up for this. All right. Well, thanks for joining, people. So yeah, I'm James Sterner of Sterner Guitars, and I figured this might be a fun thing to do. So I'm gonna be showing like how at least I go about. Oh, thank you. How I go about making stuff using this program. It can be a little complicated. I know when I started off, I was like, how the hell do I even navigate this? It's got like so many different settings. Here, let me scoot this out of the way. So many different options in terms of what you can do. It's a very powerful program. Oh, by the way, my cat's here, Spyro. Um, but yeah, it can seem like a lot to bite off in one thing. And I know I learned by watching a ton of YouTube videos and just like fumbling my way through it. So I'm going to be making a kind of like example build, and hopefully people can follow along. Maybe you'll find it useful, maybe you won't. Oh, for those in the comments, sorry, I can't hear you. I know I have the headset on, but the tab is muted. It's not an Abasi guitar. It's one of my guitars. Um, but yeah, let's talk about like what this thing is even going to be. Um, so I have my models, but a while ago, I had seen on Instagram there's this company that does like Jerry Tone guitars. Shout out to them; they do awesome stuff. And Waldo Electronics. But been a fan of the Dead for a while, and I've always wanted to do like a Wolf-inspired build. So I got a couple of parts. I got like it's still in the package, but like a spud buffer for that. The whatever correct potentiometers for the build and stuff. So I figured with the Jerry Garcia Wolf guitar being such like an iconic design, I wanted to try and do like my take on it and see what it would actually look like, kind of filtered through my whatever. Just chill out. My more kind of like linear approach to guitars, and maybe do justice to the actual original design. So that's enough rambling. Let's talk about Fusion and how I would use this program to actually do that. Sorry, I'm going to be drinking coffee throughout this thing too. So when you open the program, it's going to look like this. And, well, actually, first let me talk about why this is a good program to use for this stuff. You can use other things. I know some people who use, like, Rhino to do their modeling. I know a bunch of people who will use, different 3D modeling programs, like Blender or something. But Fusion is nice in that it works in a series of sketches, so you can do all of your CAD, all of your design stuff pretty easily in a consistent workflow. And then it also has CAM within the whole thing. So I don't think it's necessarily better or worse than like something like Rhino. But Rhino, you're going to probably need something else to generate your CAM, and this is all nice within one thing. So I find that really nice. It's also just a, I'm an educator, so I have an educator's license for this, but even if you don't, I believe there's a free option for it, so it's nice for something that you don't have to pay for, even if you're just trying to kind of like figure out how the program works. But anyway, let's talk about like the actual layout and stuff. So when you open the program, kind of looks like this. It's just got this big white void down here, a bunch of tools at the top, and then your little browser tab that's got like your settings and stuff, and then this view cube. And whatever you make in here, you're typically going to start off with making a sketch, because that's how you kind of like get your foundational geometry for anything. So I'm going to go up to here to this little tab, create sketch. Another really nice feature about this program is that like even though it does have a million options, what's up, Aiden? You can, if you don't know what they do, like you can just hover over it and it'll give you like a detailed explanation with like pictures and stuff, and like really helps. But I'm gonna hit plus on there to create a sketch, and then it brings up this weird grid thing. So this is showing us the different planes that we can make the sketch on. You can do it on the x-axis, the y-axis, the z-axis, and you can change these things. I'm just gonna pick right here, and then my camera snaps to an overhead view. So this is kind of like if I'm drawing directly on a piece of paper, and you'll also notice the tools at the top change. So now I have different like drawing tools that I'm able to use to create various shapes, lines, what have you. But to start, I'm gonna do the first thing. What like you ever do a guitar design, which is the scale length. This is like the most sacred geometry when you're making guitars. This is something that like there's usually a couple of things that you can't like mess around with, and this being one of them. And all of your kind of design is going to have to focus on, accommodate, and kind of like radiate out from your scale length. Because if your scale length is messed up, it's not going to play in tune. It's not going to intonate right. It's going to be a pain in the butt. So I'm going to make a line that's going to be the length of my scale. So that's if I click here, I can drag this out. Oh, hold on. You know what? This other thing. I'm going to change the unit of measure because right now this is in millimeters. I need it to be in inches. So to do that, I'm going to go to Document Settings. I'm going to change this to inches because I'm in America and I don't know metric. All right. So to make a line, I just hit L on my keyboard. I'm just going to pick a point right here, dead center. And I know Jerry's Wolf guitar is 25.5 inch in scale length. So you can see I type that in and it will give me a line that is that long. You can also choose, if you want to put it at a different angle, but for this sake, we're just going to have it at 0 degrees. So this is telling me that basically from this point, which in this case, I'm going to say that's going to be my bridge, to this point, which is going to be the nut, like that distance can't change, otherwise it's not going to play correctly. Now, before I get much further, I want to actually import some kind of reference that I'm going to be working off of just so I have some kind of gauge. It's really easy when you're working on the computer to spend a lot of time on something, and as you're doing that, you really kind of lose a sense for like what it would be like as a physical object. So to do that, there's an option up here for Canvas. You can also go to Insert, and you can insert different things depending on what file formats you're using with. I'm just going to insert Canvas and insert from my computer. So I already have some pictures here of the Wolf guitar that I'm going to kind of be basing this off of. And I got this photo, which is just like the entire guitar and from relatively straight on. That's going to be pretty important. You don't want it from an angle or anything that's going to kind of distort. You want it as if you're like looking straight at it. So I have the file selected here, and then I have to select the plane on which I want to insert that canvas. So I'm going to click down here, so it's on the same plane as my sketch, and you'll see like, oh, what the heck and frick, yo, this is so dang tiny. I gotta fix it. So you gotta scale this stuff. So you can just drag, and it will make your reference image bigger. Now, you really do have to kind of like focus while you do this, and it's not going to be super precise, but we just want to try and get it like relatively close to the correct like measurement of my scale length. So I know that this guitar is 25.5 inches from the bridge to the nut. So I'm going to drag this whole thing out until the bridge and the nut are basically at the beginning and end of that line. Oh, I made it a little too big. So then I'm going to go back in. And you just gotta kind of like finesse this until you hit this sweet spot. If you feel like dragging, like I'm getting pretty close, but like not quite there. I'm gonna zoom in a bit. Sorry, I'm like mega minding this right now. I'm really trying to get this as close as possible. Because, the type of bridge we're going to be using will be able to, it will compensate like a little bit forward and backwards. But we want to try and get this to match the original as close as possible. I'm going to type this in. So let's say like 99. Oh, shoot. Hold up. Yo, don't do that. That was horrible. Control Z. No. Oh, what did I do, guys? I'm terrible at this. GG. Alright, let's see if I can fix this again. Alright. A little less. Sorry if this is not the most exciting part of this, but hopefully you guys will find this, somewhat useful. This is what a lot of guitar building in these programs is. It's just fiddling around with, like, really small settings. And I'm also just using the kind of free drag thing. You can use these arrows if you want to lock it to the X or Y, which is probably, like, honestly, a better approach to this than what I'm doing. Alright. Damn it. I need to make this a little... And it is important to really take your time with this, because if you don't, it's gonna, like... Yeah, it's gonna mess you up in the long run, and we don't want that. Come on, you. Stop snapping. Oh man, I just want this to be like a hair smaller. Alright, 0.94. We're gonna get it, fam. I can tell you right now. No, too much. 5. Or let's see. Oh, for the people in the chat, I do not have the paid version. I have the educators because I'm an art teacher and I use this with my students sometimes. Oh my god, I'm so close, guys. We can almost... I can feel it. And sometimes it will want to jump around to annoying spots. And that's a pain also. Why is this? Oh. Anyway, if you also want to just not sit through this, I will be posting this on YouTube so you can fast forward through all of this boring stuff later. Yo, I can not. Alright, I think I did it. Alright, I'm happy with this. Sorry that was so incredibly painful. Okay, so the guitar's scale length is matched to that line, and that's like the really important thing. That's going to allow everything else to kind of like flow forward from that. So now that I have my reference on there, I'm going to hit OK. So that'll kind of like lock that canvas in place. And now I can continue editing this thing, drawing on top of it, and that canvas will stay on there. If I'm working and I find this picture is getting distracted, you'll see over here there's this little like browser bar, and there are a couple of drop-down tabs. There's canvases. You can insert multiple canvases. For instance, you know, maybe I want a closer view of the body. I could insert this image here, and I'm not going to put you through me resizing that one as well, but that would populate here. But if you ever want to turn those off, you just poke the little eyeball, it turns it off. You want to turn it back on, you poke the little eyeball again. Now, from here I'm going to start actually like designing the layout of the body, and for that I'm going to make a new sketch. Now, I find that, you know, in the long run it does behoove you to, like, just like you're working in Photoshop or something that has layers, go in and name your layers. So I'm going to I'm going to rename this guy, if I can find it. Yeah, rename. Scaling. Because I have other versions of like guitar files that I've been working on for, you know, I'll go back in and edit things and like copy and pull things and cannibalize them. But I have some that I've been working on with those files for like years. So they might have like over 100 sketches. So it's good to always label that stuff. But I want to keep that there. I don't want to mess around with it. And now I just kind of want to start blocking in the actual shape of the body, what I really want this to kind of look like. So for that, I'm going to be making a new sketch. This way, I'll click here to insert it. So I can do things on here. I can make shapes, and it's not going to edit anything that's on my scale length sketch. So I'm going to name this body rough sketch. Oh, also, I am terrible at typing and spelling, so, you know, there's that. Now, before I get into this, I'll talk a little bit about, like, my design ethos and, like, you know, how I go about designing guitar shapes. So if you know my work, you'll know that, like, a lot of it is very angular. And I've had a couple of videos where I talk about this. I always think about, like, taking a single line or an angle and repeating that as much as I can throughout a design to give it a sense of, like, unity, cohesion, have it kind of make sense. So when I was trying to think about, like, how would I interpret this guitar, I printed out some versions. I like to work in, like, physical stuff. I went to school for painting, so, like, I find that helps me a lot. And I was just looking for, like, commonalities throughout it in terms of the actual, like, layout of Wolf. So here I got, like, a little printout version. I don't know if this is showing up on the camera. But with a ruler, I'm kind of just looking for points, looking for things that share common angles that I can use to form a foundation for this design. So when looking at it from the back, I noticed that kind of, like, if you were to extend these lines out, they would kind of meet at the intersection of this lower bout here. If you look at the point on this, like, horn, or the hitchhiker thumbs as they're called on Wolf, that line, that slope kind of lines up with these kind of cutaways for the neck. So I kind of honed in on that angle, and I'm like, all right, this is kind of going to be my foundation. So I first saw that when looking at it from the back, and then I printed out another version of it from the front so I could get that kind of, like, front perspective and see, like, if those lines really matched up visually. So starting from there, I'm going to start plotting out these lines onto the guitar and seeing, you know, if it's going to work the way I hope or think it's going to work. It might look terrible, but, you know, we'll find out together because, you know, we're a family here. So, yeah, let's start. So, I'm going to begin by kind of sketching out where I think these intersections would really fall based on my kind of tracing. I know you guys can't see that, but let's see. Let's say. So, if you, like, zoom in on stuff, you'll see a lot of Fusion's things will actually have it, like, snap to a grid. You can turn this on and off and, like, you know, edit those settings, but right now I'm just kind of like trying to rough this out a bit. So let's say if that line extended out that way. Oh. All right. And this one goes. So I'm just trying to map out some of these points roughly. So I've made just 2 lines. While you're working, if, like, stuff like this bothers you, where they go over, let's talk about some of the tools up here that we can use to kind of remedy this and clean it up. We got these little trim things. So these will go and cut those out, and now I have a nice little intersection right here. That works pretty well. And then I'm going to, what was the other one I had? That point lining up with, okay, the lower bout. Alright, let's try and map out this one roughly. Let's say around there. I go to my little scissors, snip, snip. Okay. So I have these kind of little, like, zigzag lines that I've done. If you're having a tough time seeing some of this stuff, you can also just, like, go back to canvas, poke the eyeball, and now I can see, like, all right, these are kind of like some of those major points that make up like the horns or hitchhiking thumb silhouette of wolf. So I want to try and figure out that slope, because based on like my sketch, that slope is determined by the whatever leftmost point to the rightmost lower bout, and the rightmost point kind of to these like cutaways. So I'm going to turn this back on, and I'm going to see what that angle is and try and get something that's kind of like in the ballpark. I'm not going to do an exact one for one. Oh, that was the wrong one. But like if I take a line and extend that out. So let's see, that slope, if I'm looking here, that's roughly about, I'd say like, yeah, kind of like 73.5 degrees. Oh, is the pitch of my voice? I don't know, man. So we have that. That's about 73. And then the other point, let's see what that was. So that was from here to this. That's about 74. All right, so like, I think that that's kind of the slope that I want to go with. Let's do 74. That's a nice kind of like, whatever, solid number. So, I'm going to go back in. Let me clean some of this out. I'm going to keep that rough sketch there. I'm going to hit finish sketch. I'm going to make a new one on top of that. And this is going to be whatever. Body based off of the 74-degree line. So I know that that's kind of like the angle that I want to be working with. I'm going to turn off that rough sketch, and I'm just going to make a line so I can click, drag out. It doesn't really matter how long it is, but if I hit tab, I can set the degrees. Sometimes I just want it to like reference in a weird way. Oh yeah, no, I want it the other way. Is it negative? No. Oh shoot, hold on. I gotta do math. I'm bad at math. Ironic, right? Hold on, let me get on my calculator. What is that, like 180 or something minus 74? Let's try 106. Oh, never mind. I got it. I'm a genius. I'm so smart. Let's go, fam. All right. So I have that line. It's pretty long. But say I want to move it so I can actually start, like, you know, basing things off of that geometry. I can hit M on my keyboard. This brings up move. So you can click on any entity. In this case, it's dictating sketch objects, which is like my line. Later, you know, we'll be working with physical objects. But I'm going to make a selection of that line, and then I can drag it, just like I was dragging and rescaling that reference photo earlier. So I've lined that up roughly where I want those points to be. I'm going to hit OK. And now I'm going to copy that. Control C, Control V. All right, and I'm going to drag that out and place that. Come on, you. Sometimes it wants to jump a lot, and you just got to zoom in, and it's kind of annoying. A little more. Dude, math is so bad. I hate math. Alright, cool. Alright. So I have those kind of points mapped out. Now I'm also going to use this line to try and get the lower bouts. So I'm going to hit OK. You'll notice, like, right here, the lower portion of Wolf is like very rounded, which is, you know, pretty common in guitars, but most of my stuff is pretty angular. So I want to take this line and I want to repeat that there. So I'm going to do another oh, you know what? This is a good time to talk about projections. So projecting, I want to make sure that this is going to line up with my scale length exactly. And you'll remember I have this sketch, my scale length from like the first thing. If you hit P, it'll allow you to pull things from other sketches and import them into a current sketch that you're working on. So I want to take this line that I had there. I don't want to like mess around with it, but I want to basically project it onto my new one, my new scale, my new sketch, my body based off of the 74-degree line sketch. So I've clicked on it. It brings up this tab. So I have my geometry selected. It's that one line. I'm going to hit OK. So now I have this like, let me turn this off so you can see. So I have the lines that I've been drawing with in blue, and then I have my projected line, which is in purple. Now, I want that center line to be like right basically where the strap button's going to be. So I'm going to hit L on my keyboard for line. I'm going to drag this out until it's basically like, bam, right kind of where I want it. And that's going to be my reference point for these, which are going to be the lower bouts. So I'm going to Control C to copy that angle, Control V to paste it again. And up until now, I've just been kind of like eyeballing stuff, like dragging it back and forth. But what if I want something to be really precise? What if I want the exact like bottom portion of this line to line up with that dead center point? For that, I can still use the same window that I've been using, but there are a couple of different options. There's free move, which is what I'm using because I can drag it and you can do whatever. There's translate, which is like more strict. It regulates it to the arrows. You can rotate stuff, or you can pick a point. And I'm going to use this one, point to point. This is like, in my opinion, one of my I like this tool a lot. Because it allows you to select a point on anything, whether it's a sketch or like a 3D object or something that you're making, and that's your origin point, and then it moves to a target point. So I have my origin point here, I'm going to put my target point there, and bam, it just snaps it. It's so easy, I don't have to guess. It's pretty sick. And then I'm going to hit OK. Now, I want to have this line, but like the opposite for the other part of this bout, and you could like spend time drawing that, but that's for suckers. I'm not gonna do that. I'm too cool for school. I'm gonna actually Control C, Control V. So I pasted it, and now we're gonna use another tool. We're gonna use rotate, and I'm gonna this is like, y'all ever read Flatland? It's kind of like Flatland. We're going to rotate. So I have that line selected. I'm gonna click that like center line that I had, and you might be like, well, what are you doing? That's the axis. That's what it's gonna rotate around, but you can't really see anything because we're looking at it from the top, and this is where Flatland comes in. You snap this thing to the side and like, oh baby, look at that. Now I can take that line, pick it up, rotate it to the other side 180 degrees, and hit OK. Yeah, bam, look at that. All right, sick. So now I have that line perfectly mirrored, lined up on there, and like I didn't have to do all that annoying stuff. So that's pretty cool. Now, what else are we gonna do? I am going to have to figure out what the slope of these lines is gonna be to line up with that. All right. So I'm going to go back to my line option. It's a good idea to kind of figure out like how wide you want the body. I typically, when I'm making guitar blanks, I'll generally have my bodies be at their widest point, about 14 inches wide. So I'm going to just mark out kind of a reference line on here so I know like, what parameters I'm going to be working in. So let's say from here, I'm going to go up and I'm going to put 7 inches on that side, 7 inches on this side. Okay, so I know that's about as wide as I'm going to want to make the body. And then you can also, hold on. So this is something that I do a lot also, is I go back in and I cannibalize stuff from my older data. So, guitar designs. So I'm going to look at one of my personal builds, the 1129. So I have a million versions of these files, but I forget how wide I have it at the kind of top portion. So I want to get that measurement before I move forward so I don't mess stuff up. Let's just do whatever, Strat style bridge. Alright, so I know I'm kind of jumping around, but I'm going to use this as a reference. So it's important to me, so don't complain. Let's exit out of that. One thing that's really nice, if you have existing stuff and you need to get an idea for it, you can use the inspect tool. This tool is sick. It allows you to pick points, so from here and then to there, and it'll just tell you that distance. Oh no, it's in millimeters. Hold on, folks. Let's change this to inches. Okay. Inspect. Bam. Bam. Would I have that? Okay. 11.3 inches. Alright, let's say for this, I'm going to do, whatever, 11 inches at the longest point up here. So let's do that's probably fine. Let's do 12. Let's do 6 and 6. That sounds good, because I'm going to round some stuff out, too. Alright. 6 inches. Make that 90 degrees. Okay. Cool. Alright, so I know I got a lot of confusing geometry around here. I'm going to try and clean this up a bit before I move much further. Let's see, I want this to get right along that line, ideally. Stop snapping to that square. Come on, you. Whatever. That's fine. Alright, so let's say, for instance, I'm starting on this horn. I think around here is probably a good point. And I want to try and figure out an angle that's going to be good for this. Let's go with 20. 20 is a nice, solid number. 20 degrees. Bam. Alright. Cool. Now, I want to try and create kind of consistency throughout this. So I want, ideally, this kind of 20-degree line to somehow repeat or match on the other side, so it feels cohesive, it feels consistent. And also, this is just my approach towards making stuff. You don't have to do any of this. I don't want to sound like I'm oh, here's how you gotta do things. There's so many ways to, there's no wrong way to eat a Reese's, right? That's what they say. Whatever. I'm just gonna make a big old line that's 20 degrees. Oh shoot, it's being, haha. 20. Alright, cool. I'm gonna move this guy. So I hit M. I'm using the free translate. I want to get it to kind of intersect both of those and roughly line up with that point. It's within that kind of 6-inch zone that I was kind of trying to work within. My cat's running around. I think that's pretty good. Okay, cool. All right. So let's clean this up because this is looking kind of messy. All right, I'm gonna use my little trim tool. I'm gonna go bop, bop. Get rid of some of these guys. It'll give you some warnings about constraints and stuff. I just ignore those. Might not be a great idea, but, you know, live your bliss. Alright, cool. Let's see. Alright. So we have that slope. Now, let me try and get... So now I gotta try and figure out what the like kind of internal lines of this are gonna be, which can be difficult. Because whatever line I want to do here, I'm ideally gonna want to have it, like in my approach, be parallel here, and then probably parallel there as well. So like. Let's see. So that is one set. Let's do a cool 175, baby. All right. I'm vibing with it. Alright. I'm gonna Control C, Control V. I'm going to move this guy. And, oh, remember our friend point to point? He's coming back, baby. I'm gonna hit point, bam. And then I'm gonna go to this guy, and I'm gonna go bam. And then, like, alright, sick. So now those run parallel to each other. And then... what did I do? No, hold on. I thought I was so smart. Turns out I wasn't. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same for this guy down here. Alright. You know what? It's been a while since I've turned this photo off. Let me see what this looks like just in terms of lines. It looks like a complete mess. Well, we're going to keep working on it. We're going to get there, kids. I'm going to extend this line out. Right now, this kind of like side is not making contact with this bottom portion, which is what I really do want. So I'm going to retrace that. You'll also see it's got these little icons, these little equal signs, just to let you know that that slope is the same, which is a good tool to have. Alright, cool. Ba, ba, ba. And I actually think for this section, I'm going to select, I'm going to take this guy. And I'm going to place him right about maybe here. No, that's stupid. Why would I do that? I gotta put it here. Guys, this is what it's like to build guitars. You're really just kind of talking to yourself. You go crazy after a while. Alright. L. Take the L. Okay. So, again, so many lines. This looks chaotic. Let's clean it up again. Alright, I'm going to trim these extra guys off because they're bothering me. Bam, bam, bam. Bam. Alright, alright. We're getting somewhere. Where that place is, I don't know. You know, what a long, strange trip it's been so far. All right, let's check our progress. Now, one thing you'll also notice as I'm working on this, when shapes start to close, they become this like kind of translucent blue. But yeah, that's just something that like you'll notice as you work throughout this. That just means that like all of the lines, all of the geometry form a closed loop, and you can then extrude that. Which, let's see, I got 20 minutes left. I might get to that today. Just like projecting things and making them three-dimensional. But let's turn this thing back on. Let's start working on these thumbs, bro. Thumbs. All right. So, what kind of line do I want to repeat? I like repeating lines. We all know this. I'm going to see if I can copy paste this one. Yeah, you know, that's not half bad. Okay. And then to get this point, I'm gonna take this big guy, Control C, Control V. I gotta figure out how I can get like my key grabs like on the feed. That would be cool if I could do that. That might help people a lot more than me just like narrating this. Alright, okay. Okay, so we're getting like pretty close, honestly. Not gonna lie. I know this looks like a nightmare, but I'm gonna fix it. Don't worry. Trim, trim, trim. Trim these. Doot, doot, doot. I know this looks nothing like the Wolf guitar, and you're probably like, this guy's horrible at designing things, but like, trust me, trust the process. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to make a new sketch that has just this kind of like outline on it, because I don't want to be confused by all of this other geometry that I'm working on. So I'm going to hit Finish Sketch, and I'm going to make a fourth sketch. It's going to be on the same plane. Alright. I'm going to use that thing Project again, because Project is really a very useful and powerful tool. So I'm going to go and I'm going to project all the lines that I want to keep, not the extra ones that I'm kind of like, oh, I should have probably trimmed that. Whatever. I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to turn that first one off. So now I'm kind of left with this stuff. Delete that. Oh, wait, no. Alright, I don't need this purple line right here. Delete. Can I trim this as a projection? No, I can't. I'm dumb. Alright, whatever. Okay. So now I got this thing, this closed shape that is just the perimeter of like the roughest form of the body that I might want to work with. This is where I personally will start like messing around with either extruding a form or playing with fillets. I'll show you both. So you can like fillet stuff as sketches, although I don't know if I can do it as a projection. Let's find out. No, I can't. Alright, hold on. Let me trace this thing really quick. So sometimes it won't let you like edit projected geometry because it's like, no, that's not the real thing. And I'm like, I don't care. I want to make my own thing, but sometimes you just got to retrace it. That's the rules of the program, kids. I don't know. Okay, so I've retraced this. Now it's like all these black lines and stuff. Okay. So if I want to round these out as a sketch, I can use the fillet option. This is really cool because you can take two ends and you can like adjust how rounded or curved something is. You can also select multiple things at once. So for instance, doing the lower bout of this, if I turn my canvas on, I can kind of see like where the actual guitar's rounded portions would fall. And I can kind of like edit it so it's like within the ballpark. Like, I'm not going for an exact one-to-one match of this, but, you know, I like how it has these straight portions that are still mimicking those parallel lines that I've been working with. It's roughly around the width of the real wolf, so, like, you know, I'm happy with that. I'm pleased with that. So I'm going to turn this back off. Why did that one not go? Yeah, what? Why are you doing this to me? Oh, it's because I clicked off on that? How rude. Okay. Enter. Alright. Cool. So then we have the kind of like these bouts. Now, everything's very angular right now. It's really, you know, as the kids would say, it's giving pointy guitar. I want to round it out a bit. Not that I, you know, have any qualms with pointy guitars. Let's see, that and that. Uh, 3-inch radius seems like good to me. I like solid. You know, 3 is a great number. Criminally underrated. You know what? Let's keep it consistent, folks. 3 it is. Alright, and I'm going to start deleting this projection because right now it's kind of just like confusing me a bit. So I'm just selecting those purple projected lines, deleting them. But we're getting somewhere. This is starting to look like an actual guitar and not like, you know, just something that I do on graph paper. Fillet. Let's keep this one. I want to keep it like a little more pointy, a little tighter. Let's do 1 inch. I like it. I think we really hit the nail on the head with that one. Fillet. And again, I'm just deleting these projected lines because they're confusing and redundant and I don't need them. Alright. Very good. Alright, so these horns. Like, I already know that I want to keep that slope as much as I can. How rounded? Ooh. 1/2 inch? Or should I keep it consistent with it? Well, let's try 1/2 inch. Let's see what that does for us. Oh man, inch way too much. 1/2 inch is firmly the way to go. Alright. Okay, we're getting there. And then right here. So I want to try and keep this line, this through line, as much as I can. So I'm going to try and keep this radius relatively tight. Let's see if that's going to, like, work, kind of. No, what did I do? I'm stupid. Hold on. Let's do 1.5. Alright, and 1.5. Hopefully that doesn't distort that line too much. Let's, oh wait, hold on. I'm gonna delete that. Alright, let's see what it looks like, folks. Delete, trim. Okay. So, like, honestly, I'm kind of vibing with it. I think, it's worth pursuing. So having filleted all of that as a sketch object, I can then extrude it. So for that, I hit Q on my keyboard, or sorry, I'm going to finish my sketch. Actually, I got to do that first. And there's two ways you can do this. You can hit Q on your keyboard, and that'll bring up press pull, in which case you can pick any of these, like, light blue shapes, these closed shapes. It can't just be like an open shape, but you select it by clicking on it, and then it'll allow you to extrude that to a certain height. So you can make this thing 12 inches tall, but we're not going to do that because it's a guitar. I'm going to set this to 1.75 inches because that's how thick I usually make these bodies. So now we have an actual, like, 3D object. I know it took a while for us to get here, but, like, this is something that you could actually, like, use to create something using a CNC or a 3D printer or whatever. But, before I get much further, I will show you another way to fillet stuff. Specifically, like, I left this end kind of pointy. So say I wanted to round things over afterwards. You can also fillet while it's a three-dimensional object. That would be under Create, right? Or no, I'm just going to do the shortcut. I'm going to hit F for fillet. And then you can select lines, and then you can just kind of click and drag, and it will allow you to round. Oh no, too much. It will allow you to, like, adjust that geometry until you feel like, you get it to a point that you like. So for this bottom portion, I don't want it to be much. We used 3 inches, like, from the side, so I'm going to keep it a little pointier, whatever. I'll just type in 3. And hit enter. Alright, cool. So, with that, we have, like, a rough shape for the body. Yeah. Let's see how this looks like against the canvas. So, I think that's pretty good. A couple of points to note. I will be adding things to this as I move on, specifically, like, for the neck pocket and everything. I will be adding things to it. Once you extrude geometry, you can always keep adding to it, but for this section, I was really just kind of concentrating on getting the actual, like, silhouette kind of figured out. But that's pretty good for where I wanted to leave it today. I think next time I'll begin going into the actual neck and then, like, mapping things out, because right now we have the body, we know where that bridge is going to go, but we still have to do the scale length. I'll show you how I actually generate, like, files that'll help me place all the frets. You can be super accurate, especially if you're, like, CNCing this. But for today, I think I might just pause there and then go over all that stuff next time. But yeah, hopefully you found this useful. I'm screen grabbing all of this, so afterwards I'm going to try and download it and put it on YouTube, potentially put it on Instagram if it lets me. But, if you want to follow along, I'll be doing this again next week, Monday, same time, 5:30. And, if you got any questions, feel free to DM me. I know people were talking in the chat and asking me things, but I can't, like, walk and chew gum at the same time. So, if I didn't answer your question, DM me. I'll try and do that. But yeah. All right. I think I'm going to call it quits for today. I'm going to save this and pick back up with it on Monday. Talk to you later. Thanks for joining. Bye.